I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Monday, December the 23rd, 2013. Tragedy was averted in Israel yesterday when a passenger on a bus in Bat Yam near Tel Aviv noticed a suspicious package on board. The passenger alerted the driver of the bus, who evacuated the 12 passengers who were on the bus. The bus exploded moments later, just after Israeli police who arrived on the scene were helping passengers get away from the area. The driver and passengers were uninjured. One female police patrolwoman was reportedly lightly hurt by light injury to her ears from the sound of the blast. Following the explosion, Israel Police Inspector General Yochanan Danino ordered an increase in police presence in public places across Israel and called for the public to increase their awareness of any suspicious packages they might see. He said the incident in Bat Yam shows the threat of terror is always in the background, and in particular in times like now, when there is an attempt to advance the peace process. The blast was the first terrorist bombing in Israel since the bus bomb in Tel Aviv just over a year ago on November the 21st of 2012, which took place during the IDF's Operation Pillar of Defense in the Gaza Strip, which injured dozens. Following yesterday's bombing, Palestinian news agency MAN reported that while Hamas did not take responsibility for the attempted terror attack yesterday, they welcomed it, calling it a response to the, quote, crimes of the occupation. An Islamic Jihad source expressed hope that the attack could, quote, usher in the resumption of suicide attacks. Israeli security forces on the ground and in the air were searching for those responsible. The United States issued a strong condemnation yesterday of the bombing. U.S. State Department spokesperson Jen Psaki said violent acts targeting civilians are deplorable. She said, "We reaffirm our unshakable bond with Israel and our solidarity with the Israeli people." In a separate incident in what is thought to be another terror attack, the Jerusalem Post reports that a 30-year-old Israeli police officer was stabbed in the back today in the West Bank settlement of Adam, which is north of Jerusalem. Magen David Adom paramedics transported the officer to Shaarei Tzedek Medical Center in Jerusalem, where he is said to be in moderate condition. Israeli security forces were searching the area for the suspect. And a Qassam rocket was fired into southern Israel overnight. No injury was reported. There was said to have been some light damage. Israeli security forces located the remains of the rocket early this morning, which was fired from the Gaza Strip. It landed in the Ashkelon Coast Regional Council and exploded near residential homes in the area.
That Israel's security in this negotiation.
The Times of Israel reports, citing a senior Arab League official, that U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry will present a written framework agreement for peace between Israel and the Palestinians as soon as next week. According to a report by Palestinian news agency MAN, Arab League Assistant Secretary General Mohammed Sbieh said that Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas and other Arab officials told an Arab League meeting of foreign ministers that the Secretary of State would present the plan on December the 31st. The Jerusalem Post cites a report from the London-based paper Asharq al-Awsat yesterday, also saying that Kerry would present a framework agreement to both sides before the end of this month. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met today with Esther Pollard, the wife of convicted Israeli spy Jonathan Pollard. Speaking at the weekly Likud faction meeting today, Netanyahu told his faction that during the meeting with Esther Pollard, he updated her on the nonstop efforts to win Jonathan's release. Netanyahu said he should have been released long ago. "I think this is understood by everyone here, and I believe it is also understood to an increasingly larger crowd in the United States." Pollard just began the 29th year of his life sentence. The Post further said that Netanyahu brought up the Pollard issue at the faction meeting while also addressing recent NSA spying allegations on Israeli leaders, something Netanyahu called unacceptable, and said that he had asked the U.S. for, quote, clarifications on the matter. The Executive Committee of the Association of American Universities, or AAU, is the latest group to speak out against the recent academic boycott of Israel by several small academic groups in the U.S. The AAU, which consists of 60 leading U.S. and Canadian universities, including Harvard, Stanford, and Yale, released a statement on Friday saying the boycott not only violates the academic freedoms of Israeli scholars, but also of American scholars who might be pressured to comply with it. The AAU remarks followed the decision last week by the American Studies Association and by the Native American and Indigenous Studies Association to boycott cooperation with Israeli universities and institutions. The AAU statement reads, restrictions imposed on the ability of scholars of any particular country to work with their fellow academics in other countries, participate in meetings and organizations, or otherwise carry out their scholarly activities violate academic freedom. It further said American colleges and universities must stand as the first line of defense against attacks on academic freedom and urged scholars around the world who believe in academic freedom to oppose the academic boycott and others like it. Harvard also released a statement on its website from the Office of the President against the boycott, saying such boycotts subvert the academic freedoms and values necessary to the free flow of ideas, which is the lifeblood of the worldwide community of scholars. The statement said the recent ASA boycott is a direct threat to these ideals, which universities and scholarly associations, it said, should be dedicated to defend. And turning to our Shalom TV programming for tonight, Monday, December the 23rd, a new segment of the Wisdom of Dr. Ruth Westheimer is coming up at 7, followed by Shalom TV's coverage of the recent Union for Reform Judaism's biennial from San Diego, California. That begins tonight at 7:30 with a discussion of the implications of the 2013 Pew Report on American Jewry. It features Rabbi Elka Abramson, president of the Wexner Foundation, Dr. Sarah Benor, professor of contemporary Jewish studies at Hebrew Union College, and moderator URJ's Mark Palavin. And then at 8 tonight, URJ President Rabbi Rick Jacobs offers his perspective on Jewish life today and the role of Reform Judaism. And then at 9 tonight, an intimate conversation with Nobel laureate and author Elie Wiesel on the occasion of his 85th birthday, as he shares personal memories from his days as a young boy in Auschwitz and offers his sense of Jewish life today with Mark S. Golub. That's tonight here on Shalom TV and shalomtv.com. And we end the news today with the passing of leading Jewish philanthropist Edgar Bronfman, who died Saturday at the age of 84. Bronfman served as president of the World Jewish Congress from 1979 to 2007, where he fought for Soviet Jewry as well as for Holocaust victims and survivors and their heirs. He also worked to improve Jewish relations with the Vatican. In 1987, Bronfman founded the Bronfman Youth Leadership that brings together Jewish high school students from Israel and North America. He also served as the founding chair of Hillel's Board of Governors. In 1999, President Bill Clinton awarded Bronfman the Presidential Medal of Freedom, the nation's highest civilian honor, for working, quote, to ensure basic rights for Jews around the world. Current World Jewish Congress President Ronald Lauder said Bronfman was an ardent campaigner against anti-Semitism and all forms of racism, and that his credo was that mutual respect was the key to overcoming hatred and to creating a better world. Lauder said Edgar was throughout his life an ardent supporter of the state and the people of Israel, but he was also never afraid to speak his mind when he felt it was necessary. Many Jews, he said, will forever be grateful for his generosity, which enabled generations of young Jews to learn about their roots and identity. Bronfman is survived by wife Jan Aronson, 7 children, 24 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren, as well as a brother Charles and a sister Phyllis Lambert.